The whiteboard has come out of retirement, so you know what that means. It's time for another weekly prediction video here at the Gridiron Expert. And week 2, guys, has a chance to be one of the best weekends of college football this season. We've got a fantastic slate of games. Obviously, it's highlighted by Michigan and Texas. We'll have a prediction video out on that later this week. We've got Tennessee and North Carolina State. Also, we'll have a video on that later this week. But we've got some games up here that might be flying under the radar, but are games that you're going to want to watch this Saturday. And I will mention, we're going to have an individual video on Colorado and Nebraska. Didn't make the board because we're going to talk about it individually. But these games here, we've got a big-time rivalry game in Iowa, a Big 12 matchup that does not count in the conference standings. 2 Group of 5 teams in Tulane and Boise State trying to make their case against some of the best teams in the country. An old Southwest Conference rivalry game, renewing in Stillwater. This is going to be an awesome week of college football. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our expert picks. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the country. You do not want to miss out on that, guys. If you want the spread picks for these games here, because these are just straight up picks, you want the spread picks, our expert picks are for you. Some of the best in the country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 6 years. We're going to make it 7 by the end of this year. We can guarantee you that. Go sign up today and become a member of our GE Nation. So let's dive into this thing. Let's go up to the top. We talked about Southwest Conference rivalry game. Arkansas at number 16, Oklahoma State. I am pumped for this game. These two teams are just separated by 3 hours. It's not that far of a drive between Fayetteville and Stillwater, and yet the Razorbacks and the Cowboys have not met since 1980, which is absolutely ridiculous. But this had a chance to be a very fun, high-scoring game. Both offenses are going to be playing very, very well. We know about Oklahoma State. We know how much they return. We know they return Alan Bowman. They return Ollie Gordon, the best running back in the country last year, led the nation in rushing. He returns for another year. But Arkansas brings in Bobby Petrino, the former Arkansas head coach, back as the offensive coordinator now. And the Razorbacks last week, granted it was against UAPB, scored 10 touchdowns on 10 drives. I mean, it was practically a perfect day on offense as the Razorbacks racked up 687 yards of offense. The Cowboys beat the number 1 team in the FCS, South Dakota State, by 24 points. Balanced attack of 267 passing yards, 127 rushing yards. But the Cowboys defense still has a lot left to be desired. They gave up nearly 400 yards of offense to the Jackrabbits. Last year, we know they were horrendous on the defensive side of the ball. Arkansas is going to keep this thing close. Arkansas's improved offense and a defense that is severely underrated will keep them in this game. But can the Razorbacks play mistake-free football? Can the defense come through and shut down Ollie Gordon for 4 quarters? I'm going to say no. Oklahoma State wins this game. It will be decided by 1 possession, but the Cowboys improved to 2-0, Arkansas dropping to 1-1. But maybe the future's still bright this season after a good showing in Stillwater. How about number 17, Kansas State at Tulane? I'm really excited for this game. Maybe a trap game for the Wildcats here. You know, a couple years ago, Tulane went into Manhattan, pulled off the upset over the Wildcats, winning 17-10 back in 2022. I'm going to say that's not the case this year. I like this Kansas State team a lot. They have to be very cautious as they head down to New Orleans, but they should be able to get the job done behind the strength of their rushing game. They had 283 rushing yards last week, led by 124 yards with DJ Giddens. I believe Avery Johnson, their new quarterback, is going to be unleashed a little bit more. I think they were kind of holding him back a little bit in week 1. We're going to see him air it out a little bit more. We're going to see him using his legs a little bit more. He's a dangerous dual-threat QB. And you look at Tulane, yeah, their offense looked good. Game 1 under John Sumrall. 231 passing yards, 241 rushing yards, very balanced attack. But the Kansas State defense is ultimately the difference maker in this game. They have a very, very solid defense from top to bottom. I think they're going to force new Tulane quarterback Darian Mensah to win the game through the air. I don't think he's able to do it. It will be close for a while. Kansas State pulls away in the second half. The Wildcats improved to 2-0. Not detrimental to Tulane's college football playoff hopes. Remember, the highest ranked Group of 5 champion goes to the college football playoff. Would be massive for their hopes they can pull off this upset, but I ultimately think they fall just short. I'm going to take a quick break for a second. We're about halfway through our prediction videos. We want to give you an update on our new sponsor, Chris Gates Fitness, and his new training camp. We've got a new sponsor for the show this season, Chris Gates Fitness, and his online fitness Training Camp. Training Camp is a monthly fitness program designed specifically for football fans, and it's like nothing I've ever seen before. With hundreds of different workouts and exclusive content such as the calorie calculator and, my personal favorite, the low-calorie, high-protein tailgating cookbook, Training Camp is a must for any football fan looking to get or stay in shape. With Chris as your coach, you'll get top-notch guidance. He's been coaching people online since 2018, and like all of you watching, he's a die-hard football fan. His clients consistently get results by implementing a flexible approach to diet and exercise. So if you're interested in getting brand new workout programs every month, fitness challenges every month to push you to develop healthy habits, challenges within the Training Camp community like weekly football pick'ems, access to live Q&As where you can get direct, personalized support from Chris with your health and fitness, and the support of a community of people there to encourage you every step of the way, you need to visit chrisgatesfitness.com/Gridiron Expert, the link down in the description below. Learn more, sign up today, and use our promo code GRIDIRON to get your first month for just $10. Continuing along with our predictions, we've got a Big 12 matchup that, again, is not a Big 12 conference game. Baylor at number 11 Utah. This will be a non-conference game because these two teams had scheduled the home-and-home series. Remember, Baylor hosted Utah last year in Waco. It was an absolutely thrilling game in week 2 that Utah won in the final seconds. Obviously, that was before we knew Utah was going to join the Big 12. So this game does count in the non-conference, just like Kansas State and Arizona will count in the non-conference when those two teams meet very, very soon. But I like this game a lot. It's interesting to me because Utah's going to be a heavy favorite in this game, already a double-digit favorite, but maybe Baylor can hang with them in Salt Lake City. We know the Bears have improved. We know they're going to be drastically better on offense, but can they handle this type of environment in Salt Lake City, one of the most difficult places to play in the country? Additionally, can they control Cam Rising? Rising, who missed all of last year, bounced back. Yes, it was against Southern Utah, but threw for 254 yards and 5 touchdowns as the Utes had 513 yards of offense, a year after their offense was absolutely atrocious. Again, hard to do that when you don't have a quarterback and your top pass catcher. But Utah back at full strength now at home. They're going to take care of business against Baylor. Why? Because their defense is going to force DeQuan Finn into mistakes. DeQuan Finn, his inconsistency concerns me. He really struggled in the big games during his time at Toledo. Last week with Baylor, threw 2 interceptions against Tarleton State. If you're doing that against Tarleton State, you're definitely going to struggle against this Utah defense. Utah wins this game at home, and they do it by double digits. All right, Iowa State at number 21, Iowa, the Cy-Hawk Trophy game. This is a tough one to pick. A very, very tough one to pick. You look at history. Iowa has won 7 of the last 8 games against Iowa State, but 4 of those 8 games have been decided by 1 possession, including a 20-13 win last year. Last time the two teams played at Kinnick, Iowa State won 10-7. So once again, I'm expecting a defensive battle here. 2 of the best defenses in the country. Iowa State, one of the best in the Big 12. Iowa certainly one of the best in the Big 10. Both going to be top 25 defensive units, no doubt about it. So it should be low scoring, just like we've seen year after year after year. But the question here is Iowa's offense really better? They were only up, 6-0 at halftime last week, but then kind of blew up in the second half, ended up winning 40-0, 251 passing yards from Cade McNamara, 241 rushing yards on the day. No complaints there. A lot better. I mean, nearly 500 yards of offense for an Iowa offense that was downright atrocious last year. Iowa State, they beat North Dakota 21-3, allowing 295 yards of offense, including 174 on the ground, while only mustering 86 of their own. So while a win is a win is a win, Iowa State did not look all that impressive against North Dakota, and I was concerned by the inability to get some push up front from that offensive line, for the inability for Abu Sama to have a pretty solid day on the ground. Back in the preseason, I picked Iowa State to win this game at Kinnick Stadium. I have a lot of faith in the Cyclones, believe they're going to do a lot of good things this year, and that still holds true, but I'm switching my pick. Maybe it's going to come back to bite me, but I'm going with Iowa to win this game. I was more impressed with them in week 1 than I was with Iowa State. Home field advantage does play a minor role in this game, although there's going to be plenty of Cyclone fans there, but I like the Hawkeyes here. Additional motivation, Kirk Ferentz was suspended for game 1. He's back now for game 2. Everything to me kind of shifting towards the Hawkeyes here. It will be close. It will be low scoring, but they defeat Iowa State for the 8th time in the last 9 meetings. In our final game here, Boise State at number 7, Oregon. This is a very highly anticipated non-conference matchup. And now let's clear the air for a second. I know so many people are going to go, Boise State's going to win because they've never lost to Oregon. Let's pump the brakes there for a second. Let's pump the brakes. Yes, they did win here back in 2008. I think they had that home-and-home series back then. Yes, they did win in the 2017 Las Vegas Bowl, but things are very, very different now. Both teams were somewhat unimpressive in week one. Boise State playing in maybe the game of the week, surviving Georgia Southern in that shootout behind the unbelievable day of Ashton Jeanty, who rushed for 267 yards and 6 touchdowns on the day. Oregon barely survived Idaho, only winning 24-14, leading to 17-14 in the fourth quarter. But as we mentioned, Oregon just made a lot of boneheaded week one mistakes, which is typical of teams in week one, typical of teams with so many key new pieces. They missed a field goal. They fumbled at the Idaho 22. They had 2 turnover on downs. They were held to a field goal at the Idaho 8 instead of scoring a touchdown. It really should have been more like a 38-14 type of game for Oregon. Instead, it was just a 10-point victory. The Ducks are still national title contenders. If you go look at the box score, guys, Oregon outgained Idaho significantly in that game. Significantly. And Dylan Gabriel had a flawless game. 41 for 49 for 380 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he's going to wreak havoc on this Boise State secondary that struggled mightily against Georgia Southern last week. The Broncos allowed 461 yards of offense to the Eagles and 45 points. Georgia Southern's a good team in the Sun Belt, but they're no Oregon. The adjustments made from week 1 to week 2 are already some of the biggest in the country for every single team. Dan Lanning is going to make those adjustments now for the Ducks, who I do believe are still a top 5 caliber team, are still national title contenders, and they will beat Boise State by at least 2 touchdowns on Saturday night. So there you go, guys. Our 5 kind of under the radar games in week 2. Again, we're going to talk Michigan, Texas, Tennessee, NC State, Colorado, Nebraska. That's all coming up here on the channel over the course of the next few days. These games, though, you need to watch out for. It's going to be a fantastic slate of college football. If you thought week 1 was good, week 2 is going to be even better. The season's just now getting started, and we've already got some fantastic games on the slate. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of these expert picks. You want the spread picks for these games here? Go sign up for those expert picks today. Some of the best picks in the entire country, and our week 2 picks and week 1 picks for the NFL are already up on our website. So go sign up, become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.